Hello? Oh, look, there's 5 people. Hey, guys, I'm really sorry about that. I don't know what. No, I don't know what's going on. If someone is more technical than me when it comes to YouTube and live streaming, please let me know and give me some help, because it seems to me to be that if I program a live stream the day before, then it just goes around saying it's going live and it doesn't actually go live. But if I do it straight away, then it seems to work. So if anybody out there is more technical than me, then I would really appreciate some help. It says that there's 7 people. Morning. Hello. Morning. Morning. You're right. How are you? I'm glad that you found. Yeah, I'm sorry. I don't know what's going on. It's beyond my capacity. I will try and learn how to do this properly. Hello, Anna. How's it going? Okay, good. So I know that some of you are here. Um, I've set this up so that you could see Boo and Betsy either side of me, but yeah, you can't. Look, there they are. Oh well, never mind. Okay, so good morning, and there's 9. Hello. I hope that you guys are all okay this morning, or this evening, or this afternoon, depending on where you are. I decided to do this at 11 o'clock just because I know I've got some people from Australia who can hopefully join us. Cool. So let's get on with the show. Right. So Donna, hello. Oh, Sophie. Hello, Sophie. Okay, so now that you all know how to use the live chat, if there's anything else that you wanted to ask me, or even just comment on what I'm saying, or even just to say anything, please write it in the chat. I've got quite a few things to go through actually, but I'm more than happy to take more questions or comments. So feel free just to chat away, and I'll try and get to your question or comment when I can. Cool. So, what did you think about the introduction to light? Yeah, I'd be really grateful if you could write in the comments your thoughts about it. Have you been thinking about light before? Because one thing that I've noticed over the years is when I look at other people's pictures, I definitely think, I don't know if they've thought about the light here. I think that they're definitely going out when it's convenient to them and not necessarily when the light is good. And so the idea of the lesson was to try and get you guys to think, just to really think a lot more about the light and what it does and how it can help and how it can hinder what you're doing. I think light is, I think it's definitely one of the hardest things. That was me. Yeah, I think it's definitely one of the hardest things to kind of get your head around, because it's. I feel like you can only really kind of get good at it the more you practice. Donna says, I had thought about light before, but always struggle with it, so the lesson was useful. Cool, great, thank you. Yeah, so I think it's one of those things that the more situations you go out in and experiment in, the more you'll get a feeling for it. So in the beginning, when I started doing photographing dogs, I always thought that you had to photograph dogs with the sun on them. It was ages before I learned that actually you can photograph dogs in the shade. So for me, even in my own learning process, I just accidentally discovered that you can photograph dogs in the shade, and actually it looks pretty good. So yeah, there's all sorts of different lighting situations. What's this? Catherine said, we'll be taking my dog out tomorrow on his long line with my partner to the park where there are open spaces and trees, hopefully no other dogs around. Yeah, well, it's definitely harder when there are distractions, and it's also definitely harder when your dog is on a long line, but safety first and all that. So yeah, I mean, today, I don't know what it's like where you are, but today it's quite a cloudy, overcast day, but we've had quite a lot of bright light over the last week or so. So that's why I set you the garden challenge, because obviously a lot of us are spending a lot more time at home, and our lives are restricted, so we probably can't go to all the places that we would normally go to. So I thought it'd be a real challenge, depending on your garden. I mean, some of you have got basically fields, which is very lucky. But I've got a small garden and it was very, very bright and there were very few patches of shade. So I really struggled to get some nice pictures. Um, so I thought it'd be quite a good challenge. So if you enjoyed the challenge and found it helpful, please let me know in the comments. So I just wanted to kind of go over again, not for too long, because obviously you've read the lesson, you've kind of done the task, but go over again my feeling about light and how I approach using it. Um, so yeah, so like I said in the lesson, pretty much I'm looking to get that golden light, that kind of that soft saturated light before the sun goes down or just after the sun rises. But as I mentioned, I don't really want to get up at 3 o'clock in the morning, especially not to go and meet strangers in a strange place. Health and safety. So it's much safer to go to these places at sunset as opposed to sunrise. And also in the summer, it's far too early. Yeah, it's just far too early. This is why I would never make a landscape photographer because they have to get up. Oh, well, I was going to say the crack of dawn, but actually they have to get up earlier than the crack of dawn because they've got to get up the top of a mountain before sunrise rather. So that's definitely not me. So this is why I'd never make a landscape photographer. But that's what I'm looking for. I'm looking for that kind of saturated, softer, golden light because the colours just look so much better. And there's not these sort of horrible, harsh shadows and bright bits and dark bits. It just looks nicer, in my opinion. Now, obviously, everybody's got their own opinion. And one thing I did say in the lesson was, you can take what I say. You don't have to agree with it. This is just what I think. I'm not telling you what's right or wrong, but you're asking me how to take my pictures, and so this is what I do. So that would be my biggest tip to you, is to try, if you can, to go out more, not when it's convenient for you, but when the light is good. Now, obviously, I know that with some people have dogs who are desperate to go out, you can't wait until sunset to take them out. That's just ridiculous. So obviously there's going to be a bit of give and take. You might be able to take them out twice. Now, obviously, at the moment, again, we are somewhat restricted when we can do these things, but, just see how you go. If you can't do that, then obviously you can sort of learn the principles now and then, practice later on. But yeah, so I've got some notes so I don't just ramble on. Yeah, so I've got golden light, inconvenient. Yes, it is very inconvenient. It can be very inconvenient. As I said, sometimes in the winter on a sunrise shoot, I might be up at 6 o'clock in the morning. Conversely, in June, I can remember being on a workshop till 10 o'clock at night. And even then, it wasn't properly dark. And I was like, we need to go home. Like, I'm tired. I need to go home now. But that just goes to show, you have to think about the time of year and when the sunset is. Cold and hot. Yeah. Sunrise shoots in the winter, they're freezing. Actually, most of the time in the winter, I can't feel my hands. So you have to think about that as well. And being hot, it's not just about the light. I mean, we're photographing dogs, so it's very much about the heat as well. Well, not least the dogs. Me, I can't stand the heat. I hate the heat. So yeah, so you have to be careful, obviously, with the heat. Now, I can remember doing this same workshop when I was there till 10 o'clock. Now, normally on a half-day workshop, I'd probably leave maybe about 4 or 5 hours. Well, for the first at least an hour and a half, it was too bright and too hot to really do anything. And so I didn't quite realise it was going to be that hot and all that bright. So actually, it was a good job I brought a massive umbrella thing. We all sat under it and had quick dips in the sea and waited and just talked until the light went down and the heat went down as well. So it's not just about the light, it's about the heat as well. What did you think about me talking about clouds? if you can do a comment in the comment thing, because a lot of times people have said to me that they only think that that you should be taking pictures with direct sun. And I hope that I've got across to you that that is definitely not the case. Now, the thing is with clouds, I like them and I don't like them at the same time, but it depends on the cloud. So, I mean, I love a blue sky, don't get me wrong. I love blue, as I said in the lesson, it's my favourite colour. But um, you can have problems with shadows. And also it can be too bright if the sun's too high. If I'm photographing in woods, for example, oh, look, Catherine says clouds sometimes give great atmosphere. Yeah, exactly. I think sometimes when you have a sky and it's got all these sort of dramatic clouds, it can actually make your picture more interesting. Absolutely. Faye says it can be so dramatic, breaks a photo. Yeah, exactly. I've got some pictures. I was going to show them to you now because actually I used flash for the couple of ones that I found, but the clouds were so dramatic. It was like oops, I don't know. There was a lot of drama in it. Let's put it that way. It was a lot of drama, and I found it really interesting. So yeah, I do quite like dramatic clouds. I don't like raining clouds. Clouds that get my camera wet. No, don't like those. If it starts to rain, well, it depends. If it's going to be a very small shower, we might just sort of put the camera away for a minute and wait. But if it's clear that the rain is coming to stay, then we just have to kind of give up. Caroline Morley, great at sunset. Yes, clouds are amazing at sunset. The colours that reflected off the clouds, absolutely incredible. Yeah, I love clouds at sunset. Absolutely love. Because if you don't have clouds at sunset, sunset's still nice. It's just a gradient of colour in the sky. But if you have clouds, it can look absolutely amazing. What's Donna saying? My pictures just always seem to look out of focus in the cloud. So not sure what I'm doing wrong because I'm not doing anything different to when I take pictures in the sun and they come out nicely. Not quite sure what you mean by that. Are you saying the clouds are out of focus, or when it is cloudy, your pictures are out of focus? Thing is, with that kind of thing, I probably need to see the picture and to know the settings that you're using to really be able to help you properly. So Donna, I'd be very, very happy for you to send me some samples, and we can do this one-to-one video training thing that I'm going to that Faye, who's also in the comments, showed me yesterday how to do. I'm going to probably try and set one of those up this week. So yeah, right. So next thing, clouds can also be very boring. If I look at the sky now, it's that kind of cloud that there's no contrast in the sky at all. It's just this sort of monotonous, sort of thick bank of grey white. Now, I think that's really, really dull. I think that's really, really boring. So if I've got cloud like that, I try and avoid it in the picture. But if I'm photographing in woods, where if it was sunny and there's a lot of dappled light, I do quite like that even bank of cloud, because if you're in a woods and there's cloud, sun, cloud, sun, cloud, sun, cloud, sun, well, the lighting's always changing. And so I could be stood there going, oh, can we just wait for that cloud to come back? Oh, let's just wait for that. And it's just inconvenient. So if I'm photographing in the woods, I actually quite like a nice, even cloud all over the sky, because it just makes my life a lot easier and I don't have to flip between one lighting situation and another. Oh, hang on, what's Lisa saying? Found checking through your camera settings you use for different cloud sun levels very useful. Thumbs up. Nice one. Great, thank you, Lisa. That's a good point, actually. If you're not sure about the settings, and if you like one of the pictures that I've taken, and you're wondering what settings, then all the settings are at the end of each chapter. So you can kind of fiddle about on your camera, set it to those settings and give it a go. Of course, it depends on when you're taking it and the lighting scenario and all that kind of stuff. So, but it's a starting point, isn't it? And it's a starting point to try and help you get your head around different settings and what may or may not work for a different scenario. Okay, so yeah, so I've just put here lots of different lighting situations and angles. Think about light. Yeah. So from here on in, every single picture that you're going to take forevermore, till eternity, you have to think about light. Don't think you've done a lesson, that's it. Oh, I have to think about light anymore. No, no, you have to think about light every single picture. Every single picture. Every single picture. And the thing is, it will get second nature to you. You'll be out, you'll be like, oh no, the light's not right. Oh no, got to wait. Oh no, yeah, no, it's not right. And that's great. And if you don't, well, yeah, I don't know. You might end up not getting the kind of pictures that you want to get. So you definitely have to think about lighting before you take any picture. Now, I've done an introduction to light just to say later on in the course, I want to add more about lighting, but I didn't want to overcomplicate things straight away or too soon, because I realised that I've got people here who are varying levels of skill and experience, and I basically want to write this course so that it's suitable for beginners. So there will be things that some of you probably already understand with regards to settings, and there'll be other people who need more help than others. So I'm trying to write it sort of kind of from the beginning, and then we kind of get more and more kind of complex as time goes on. But a few of you have mentioned settings, so I think what I'm going to do is I'm going to jiggle about the lessons a little bit. The next lesson is about motivating dogs and trying to keep them interested in what you're doing, which I think a lot of people struggle with. But I think the lesson after that, I'm going to do beautiful portraits with a blurred out background, because that will give me an opportunity to talk about different lenses and aperture settings and things like that. So if that's good for you guys, that's what I will do. Okay, so I wanted you to tell me what you thought about mixing the brights and the darks and the dappled light. Did that make sense? Have you done it before? Will you do it again? Do you see that it just doesn't look very nice at all, especially when the light is really, really bright? Have I managed to convey that to you? Let me know in the comments. Oh yeah, okay, I've got another note here. It says thick, dark cloud, yuck. So I know I've mentioned Faye says dappled light equals nightmare. Yep. Caroline says, failed miserably in the bluebells. Exactly. And what I found with bluebell shoots, as said in the lesson, bluebell shoots are so much easier when it's cloudy, because all the light is nice and even and diffused. You've got no harsh bright bits, no horrible dark bits, and everything's nice. And you can actually see the colours of the bluebells. So yeah, so if I've got a shoot in the bluebells, or in fact if I've got a shoot in autumn time when you have all the nice colourful leaves going on, I'm praying for a cloudy day. I want a cloudy day. I do not want sunshine. Go away. Don't want it. But sometimes it comes and it's annoying and I don't want it. Anyway, back to thick dark cloud. So I've mentioned liking sometimes in woods that kind of bank of even light, but the thing is, when you get that hideous, for want of a better word, kind of yucky sort of, it's almost just so dark grey and awful. Well, first of all, I just don't like the look of it, and second of all, it just blocks out so much light that I feel, even in the summer, even in the middle of the day, if you've got that really horrible thick dark cloud, everything looks dull. So my suggestion to you would be, if you've got that kind of cloud, just don't bother, just forget it. Go for a walk, do it another day. Sometimes I've had to do shoots when it's teetering on that kind of cloud. And some shoots I've started when it hasn't been like that, and that kind of cloud has come, and then it's made it very difficult to continue. In fact, I had one a few weeks ago with a lady with 4 dogs. And it wasn't too bad when we met up. It was cloudy, but the clouds were getting thicker and thicker and thicker. And I just said, you know what? I'm just not satisfied with this light. It's too dark. I don't like it. Let's do some stuff, and then we'll definitely meet another time. And if that happens, I don't charge. Obviously, again, you know, you can't. What's the word? Light is just the light. You have to. you have to kind of do your best. But if I feel like I can't do my best, then I definitely postpone. And then the next time we met up, it was absolutely amazing light, and what a difference! Such a massive difference. Um, so yeah, I do not like really dark, thick cloud. White sky. So I know I've already mentioned liking that even cloud, specifically if I'm photographing in the woods, but I don't like it when it's out in the open. And this is a similar thing to snow, actually. Somebody mentioned snow in the questions, which I'll get through to. But if you've got a very, very, very boring, even white sky, well, it's boring, isn't it? Anyone else think so? I just find it boring. I like skies where there's something going on, all blue. And also, especially with darker coloured dogs, if you've got most of your picture, which is white or very, very bright and light, and then you've got something that's very, very dark, the camera will struggle to get the exposure correct for both. So that's another reason why I don't really like these kind of really horrible white skies. No, unless I'm in the woods, in which case, great. Okay, so anybody else said anything? No? Okay, fine. So I think that's probably enough of me going on over the lesson that we've just done. So I'm going to go to the questions that I've had, and I've had quite a few. Thank you very much. What does she say? Aileen says, in situations that you have highlights and shadows, do you use some technique to help taking the picture, like HDR and bracketing? No, in a word, there's not time for that. Or you simply don't take the picture because it won't get good in post editing anyway. Put it this way, if I'm out and about and the lighting becomes not as I would like, I'm already there. I'm just going to try my best. My preference would always be to go into a situation where the light is a lot better. But sometimes I have a situation where somebody's come along for a shoot because it has to be that day. It has to be that day. It's their birthday or it's their anniversary or they're down for the weekend and it's got to be that day. In fact, I had one a few weeks ago. People had come down from London and they were very excited. And I was like, oh, good news that the weather's going to be good. It's going to be fine. Bit cloudy maybe, but it'd be fine. And then we got there and it was really dark cloud. And I was a little bit gutted because I could see more broken cloud out to sea. And with the way the wind was going, I knew it was coming towards us. So we kind of waited, but it was a bit cold. So I was conscious of their getting cold and the dog was getting cold and my hands were getting cold. So we did some stuff, but then luckily the light did get better as time went on. So for you guys, you can, photographing your own dogs, you can just sort of come back another day. But with me, it's a little bit less flexible because if I'm there already, I'm going to have to try and do my best. But if I do feel like I really, really can't do my best, I would postpone. But if they've come down from afar and they're already there, then I've just got to do my best. I have said to a couple of people in the past, oh, look, I'm really sorry about the weather. I've done my best, but I know I could do better. If you're ever down this way again, I'll do a reshoot for you. I had one lady do that once. This was when I was still living in Brighton. She came all the way from Bristol. The first shoot was miserable. It was not very nice at all. And it was very drizzly. It was very grey, and it was not nice. So I said, listen, next time you're here, we'll do it again. Years later, she said, oh yeah, I'm in Brighton. Don't suppose you're still, the office still there? And I was like, absolutely. When are you here? Oh, Saturday. So we met Saturday. Guess what? Dark cloud. She says it's not meant to be. I was like, I'm really sorry. I did my best. And actually I had a better camera this time. So it was more able to cope with the lower light, but still, yeah, sometimes maybe things just aren't meant to be. Okay, so I've got a few questions. Hang on, let me just have some tea. Oh no, it's gone cold. Cold tea, no good. Okay, so I've got a question from Emma. The colours in your photos always look so bright, vibrant. Thank you. Is it purely due to the amazing light you shoot in? No. Now I always do some post production on my pictures, but I always say you can. There's only so much that you can do in post production to make something look good. So it's always better to start with something that already looks quite good and then you can enhance it rather than something that doesn't look so good at all. And trying to make something good out of that because there's only so much that you can do. Um, some pictures I do hardly anything. It really just depends on the picture, really. I mean, and some pictures I don't do anything at all. For example, the picture of the silhouette. I can't remember. Was it this last lesson of Betsy on the beach? If anything, I felt like I needed to bring the colours down because I felt like it looked oversaturated, but that was actually just the way it was. Um, yeah, I try and sort of enhance reality. I try and make things look a bit more colourful than perhaps the picture that I've taken. But like I said, if you start with that soft saturated light anyway, it's going to be far better. If that makes sense. And Emma also says, "Do you ever use filters?" No, no. This is dog photography. There's not the time to be messing about with that kind of thing. It's a bit like when somebody said, "Oh, do you ever use tripods?" I was like, "Eh, tripods? No, no, I don't. Well, okay, one time I used a tripod, but that's in like over 1,000 shoots. So yeah, no tripods, no filters, no messing about. That's just not time for that. Emma also says, will you cover settings for silhouettes later on? Yes, absolutely. Yeah, loads of you want to do silhouettes. I'm pretty sure of that. So yeah, I'll definitely cover silhouettes in a later lesson. We'll probably do a whole lesson on silhouettes because silhouettes are amazing. Or I might couple silhouettes with the other lighting stuff. Not quite sure yet, but yeah, we'll definitely cover silhouettes. Now, how do you photograph black dogs? I'm afraid I didn't write down the name of lady who asked this question. So, how do you photograph black dogs? So, a lot of people have problems with photographing their black dogs. I think this is a universal problem. So, I actually wrote a blog post how to photograph black dogs. Originally, I wrote this to help rescue dogs because when I started photographing dogs in rescue centres, I realised because they told me that black dogs are harder to rehome than other coloured dogs. I thought, oh, well, that's a real shame. That's not fair. So I wrote this blog post, how to photograph black dogs. And basically, everything that I've been telling you about lighting, it's that. It's definitely that. You just need to try and get softer, even light onto them. If you're photographing your black dog in direct sun in the middle of the day, what you're doing is you're asking your camera to expose correctly for something black and something that's practically white as well. So that really bright white light. So the two opposite ends of the lighting color spectrum. Any camera is going to struggle to get both of those correct. And what your camera will try and do is expose correctly for what's most of the scene. And generally, what that means is that the black thing, whatever it is, a dog or something else, is going to be really, really dark. So what you have to do is you have to try and get what's around the dog not as light, but not very dark either, but it's sort of more like a balance. So that also translates to color as well. So I find that black dogs look better in front of colors that are in the middle of the color spectrum, like red, like poppies, green, like grass, blue sky, yellows, oranges. Think about the colors of the rainbow, actually. If you think about the colors of the rainbow, you'd be fine. Just not something that's too bright and not something that's too dark. What's this? Caroline says, correct light has made a huge difference to my pictures of Ralph. He has a black Zorro mask around his eyes. Yeah, well, there you go then. That's great. So, oh, hang on. I got a little list of things from my blog post. Yeah, so it's even more important that even soft golden light cloud. cloudy days, absolutely fine. And in the shade as well. It's basically what I've been saying in the lighting lesson. Right time of day as well. So that's about having the sun that is lower, it's not so harsh, that harsh bright light coming onto a black dog. And I've said background color. Yeah, you can use flash or another light source to do some fill-in light, but we're not going to talk about that today. That's for later on. Black dog silhouettes. They are black after all. Black dogs make great silhouettes, don't they? So yeah, I think if you really want to photograph your black dog, just go over and over and over the lighting lesson, because that's where the answer is. It's pretty much all about lighting and having that nice, even, soft light. Just avoid the bright, harsh light. That would be my main tip when it comes to photographing black dogs. Okay, next question. Heather says, have I ever had to reschedule a shoot due to the light rather than purely poor weather conditions? I'm confused by that question because the light is the weather condition. Yeah, hang on. No, it's the same thing. Okay, so I do have to reschedule shoots because it's due to rain, definitely. But I definitely have. Oh, hello, Betsy. I definitely have had to reschedule shoots, not because it's due to rain, but because it's going to be that awful black, or not black, but dark grey cloud that I've already said that I don't like. The problem is, it depends on where you live, right? So in other countries, people might have more favourable weather conditions, or at least more predictable weather conditions. So in the UK, as most of us are here in the UK, we know, don't we, that it might say one thing, but it does another, and you might get 4 seasons in a day. So plenty of times I've gone out. I can remember when I used to live in Brighton. So I lived in Brighton. I used to drive over to Lancing to do most of my beach shoots because the beach was so much better over there. And going towards Lancing, that was west, so I'd always see the sun be coming towards me, and I'd always see the weather coming towards me as well. And I'd be driving to Lancing, and I'd be like, "Oh no, there's a big cloud coming! No, go away, big cloud, go away, big cloud, go away!" And it's happened so many times, so many times. So yes, I have had to reschedule, and I've also gotten somewhere and gone, actually, it's not what it said it was going to do, and it's really not very good. But generally, what I try to do is, if somebody's actually turned up, I'll do something for them. I mean, if it's not raining, then I'll say, look, we'll do a little bit, but then we'll definitely meet up again, because I don't want them to feel like they've completely wasted their time. And also, I've turned up as well. I may as well do something, and then turn up another time and with hopefully better conditions. Conversely, I have actually been to shoots and or workshops where it's been too bright. So what we do is start in the shade, and then when the light goes down and it's less bright and also less hot, then we can come out into the open. But you can't really do that on a beach because there's nowhere to hide. That only really works sort of parks where there's trees or there's a wood, places like that. Okay, so Heather also asked, do you have preferred lighting types for different colours of dogs, or does your overarching favourite conditions suit them all? Yes, my overarching favourite conditions definitely suit them all. Yeah, simples. But having said that, I have turned up to shoots where the light has been darker and it's a black dog, and not only is it a black dog, but it's a fast dog. Later on, if you don't understand why that'd be an issue, I am going to explain it, but that's getting more into action stuff there, which I don't really want to confuse us with right now. But basically, if a dog is going fast, I need more light. I need more light. So sometimes when it's been cloudy, I have turned up to a shoot. I never say anything because I don't want to make them worry or feel bad. But if it's like a golden or a ginger coloured dog, I'm like, oh, good, that's easier. If it's a black dog, especially a black dog where you can't see their eyes because they've got this fur going everywhere, I think, oh, that's going to be a bit more of a struggle. So yeah. So Judy says, She has problems focusing on the eyes. Okay, so what I'm going to do is I'm not going to talk about focusing too much, because I think what I'm going to do is discuss more settings and things like that a little bit later on. Really, what I'm wanting to try and get you to do is think more about what you're doing and the light and how happy your dog is and things like that. People keep panicking about settings, but I really feel if you go back to my Karate Kid analogy right at the start, you have to get the sort of basics in terms of what you're doing right first, and then kind of build on it from there. As I did say, all the settings, all my pictures are at the end of each chapter. So if you really want to go ahead and see what I've done, then you can do so. But just to say, G says she has trouble focusing on the eyes. Well, without knowing the settings, I don't know how to help you. I mean, some cameras, I mean, it depends on how your camera is focusing. Some people on my workshops go, "Oh, I can't get the rise, I can't get this," and then you look through and it's on a completely automatic setting, so that the camera is deciding what to focus on. That's the first thing. Have you actually chosen a focus point for your camera to focus on? So that would be what I would suggest looking at first. And if it's not that, then come back to me and we'll talk about it. Laura says black dogs that bring out the darkness of their fur without overexposing the background. Well, I would just go back to exactly what I said about keeping the light even and not having really dark bits in your pictures and really, really bright bits in your pictures too. I think that's the best thing that I can suggest, is to keep the light as even as you possibly can, and try, if you can, go out when there's that golden light. And if you can't, it's cloudy, then, like I said, try not to go out too close to sunset, because then there's not enough ambient light. Every day is different, isn't it? So it's about looking at what the conditions are, and it also depends on the location that you go to as well. Like I said, on a beach, you don't really get much shade, so it depends on so many different things. Laura has also asked about photographing dogs in the snow and how that affects the light. Again, I would just simply say, well, first of all, I will say I haven't actually got much experience of photographing dogs in the snow, because we haven't actually had much snow here the last few years, apart from the Beast from the East a couple of years ago. But no, I don't do anything particularly different when there is snow. The only thing I would say is, if you think about snow and that it's white, I liken it similar to having a white sky. So having so much white in your picture and then say a black dark thing, your camera's going to really struggle. So what I try and do when there is a snowy scene, I try and get other things in the picture, bit of grass here. I'm just sort of looking for various different colours. I don't really want to get completely white picture with a black blob in the middle, because my camera's going to really, really struggle with that. And also, if you've got a flat blanket of snow, there's not a lot of texture in it. So it's quite hard for the camera to pick up the details. So that'd be what I would do in the snow. Let me see some more questions. Caroline says, do you keep a book or a log with your favourite locations and the time you visited, so you can replicate or recreate shots that have worked well? Well, Caroline, I'm afraid that's just far too organised for me. I'm a bit go with the flow kind of person. No. I remember, I mean, at the end of the day, I've got quite a good memory actually for locations and where the light is coming from, and little kind of nooks and crannies, spaces that are quite light. Don't forget that when I used to live in Brighton, there are actually a very limited number of locations that I felt appropriate to use. So I knew them all really well, and it's part of the reason why I wanted to move from there, because I was getting really bored of going to the same place over and over and over. Oh, look, here's that thing the dog perches on there, and oh, there's that log. And I actually found it a little bit dull after a while. Now living in Devon, it's a lot harder for me because there's so many more locations, and it's a real struggle for me to get to know the places. but slowly I am getting to know different good areas. And once I know it, I mean, I just know it, so I don't need to keep a book or a log. What I do is I have galleries of different locations, so that when I am talking to somebody about their dog and what they like to do, if they say, "Oh, I'm not quite sure, what would it look like?" I can go, "Well, here's my gallery of that location and the type of pictures that you can get there." And that's a much easier way of being able to describe to somebody what potentially that they can get from a specific location. Um, so I hope that answers that. Lisa says, do you have two cameras and interchange between lenses during a shoot? Or does it kind of depend on the dog and owner request as to what lenses get used? Okay, so first of all, I only have one camera. I'd love to have two, but it costs £5,000, and I'm gonna have to sell a few more of these courses to get another camera just yet. Although having said that, my camera is a few years old now, so I am just on the cusp of needing. Well, I don't need to. My pictures are all right, but wanting to upgrade. Um, and of course, there's the new mirrorless technology that's coming out, and I don't know enough about that yet. I'm learning myself, so I'm watching a lot of videos to help me decide where is the best next place for me to go to in terms of a second camera. Um, I've got a contact at Nikon. He works at the Nikon school. In fact, I photographed his dog years ago, and he's already told me that there is no mirrorless camera that can equal what I can do with an SLR at the moment. So I'm a bit like, don't really want to do that. I did actually. They lent me a D5, the upgrade to my D4 last summer for my tour, which was amazing. And I was like, how am I going to keep this? How am I going to keep this? How am I going to keep this? But I couldn't bribe them. Nothing would persuade them to let me keep it. So, but there's £5,000. It's ridiculous. So no, I don't have two cameras. So if it breaks, I'll have to buy another one. But I just hope that it doesn't break. But it's a Nikon. It's extremely reliable, and I've never had a problem with it, apart from the button that gets stuck. So I've got this button that gets stuck, and I'm sort of prizing it out. But apart from that, no. Do I interchange lenses during shoot? All the time. And I shouldn't do. What does Caroline say? You wait till you get to my age. Hormones. Oh, terrible. I've got bad memory. Yeah. Do I change it? Yeah, I'm changing lenses all the time. So on a shoot, I'm not like, oh, we're going to do this, 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 and this. It's like a walk. We kind of walk around, then I'll go, oh, that looks good. Okay, yeah, I'm going to use that lens for that. So I'm kind of changing lenses and go, oh yeah, no, that looks good. Oh no, I've changed my mind. No, changed my mind. Wait, changed it. And you're talking about on a beach with the wind going everywhere and sand going everywhere. So I'm kind of like putting my camera underneath my jumper to try and protect it from the wind. And I know you shouldn't, but I do. I must change lenses 10, 15 times during a shoot, depending on what's going on. So I'm surprised it still works, to be honest. Probably sand everywhere in my camera. And sometimes I can hear a little bit of sand when I'm changing the lens, and I try and clean it, but it is what it is. Does it depend on the dog and owner requests as to what lenses get used? I've never had an owner. Actually, I don't like the word owner. Let's say client. I've never had a client who has ever said, I want you to use this lens, I want you to do this. So what happens is I'll meet up with them and I'll say, is there anything particularly that you would like, that you want? And I swear to God, about 99 times out of 100, they'll go, anything, just anything, whatever you can get would be amazing. Because most people are there because they're so exasperated with trying to photograph their dog and not getting anywhere, that they just hand it over to me, and then yeah. But actually that makes my life so much easier. The difficulty lies when people want something that their dog just can't do, and actually most of the time that's sitting still. Oh, I really want a portrait of them all together. Well, will they sit together? No. Oh, right. Okay. Well, we've got a few things that we can try. But yeah. So most people don't have any anything that they particularly want. Occasionally, somebody will come and say, "Well, I've seen this and I really want that," kind of thing. And I'm like, "Okay, yeah, that'll be fine. We just need a good sunset for that, or they just need to be able to jump for that, or whatever it is." But most of the time, people go, "No, just anything." Okay. Angela says, "Do you use any other lighting like a speed light?" Yes, I do. Here it is. Cheap speed light, donkey's years old, SB 600. You could probably pick one of these up very, very cheaply. This is another thing that is on my list to sort of upgrade and get better, but yeah, it's been on my list for a while. I have a list and I keep trying to do things on the list, but I just get too busy to get them done. Maybe now I've got more time, I need to kind of look into these things. But you know, for now it's doing a good job. Yeah, so I do use flash, but obviously we're going to do flash much later on in the course. I don't want to get into that now, but just know that yeah, I do use flash with mostly my wide angle lens, but I do also sometimes experiment using it off camera as well. So if you like, we can do a bit of that because that's quite exciting. Angela also says, "I have a 10 to 18 millimeter lens. Would you use that type of lens?" As I read, not most dog photographers use 16 to 35 millimeter. Okay, so we're getting a bit away from lighting. So I'm not going to go on about this for too long, but just to say that yeah, I like wide angle lenses because they enable me to get sort of down and close and into the dog's world. I find them a very flexible lens to use, a lot of fun, very difficult. I started with a 16 to 35 millimeter lens. All I will say is the wider the lens, the closer you have to be to the dog to get anything. I can remember I did a workshop with a lady, and it might even be Emma who's on this course. You'll have to forgive me if I don't remember exactly, but she had a really, really wide lens. It was much wider than mine, and she had to get so close to her dog to actually get them kind of big enough to be in the picture. I thought, oh, a lot of dogs I photograph wouldn't want me to be that close to them. So you can get really interesting pictures like that with a really wide lens. But for me, I don't want to be too close. I don't want to frighten them. I mean, some dogs won't care less, but some don't like it. So my lens is a 14 to 24 millimeter lens, and it enables me to get close, but not. I don't have to be like completely in their face. But I don't want to confuse things with lenses. I am going to go into why I use my different lenses very soon. But yeah, I'm sure that a lot of dog photographers do use those lenses. Like I said, I had a 16 to 35. It was a very good lens. I was very happy with it, but I wanted to go a little bit wider than that enabled me to go. Is that it? Hang on a minute. I think I might have come to the end of the questions. Does anybody else have any questions? There's 15 of you here. Has anybody else got any comments or anything else they wanted me to say? I didn't quite answer the questions properly, or something else you thought about? Anything to do with lighting. Write it now or forever hold your peace. Actually, no, you don't have to forever hold your peace. You can ask me another time. That's fine. Don't see any questions. Okay. All right. So I reckon that'll probably do for now. Well done for all your pictures, by the way. I really enjoyed looking at them and commenting on them. The next lesson that we're going to be doing is motivating your dog and keeping them interested, which I know for a fact a lot of people have problems with. So yeah, I've enjoyed writing that, and I'm going to be sending that to you tomorrow. It's quite a lot in it. I've got loads of stories. Yeah, basically every single picture you have to think about lighting. But when it comes to motivation, every single picture that I take, there is a motivation involved somehow. And it's critical, it's absolutely critical to the quality of your pictures, your dog being motivated. If you don't think about motivation, forget it. forget it. So I think that what I'll do is I'll leave that there. Can't see any more questions coming in. No. Okay. So yeah, so if you look out for that lesson tomorrow sometime, I'll try and get it to you early. Now I know obviously again we're all kind of constrained, and you can take your dogs for walks or not in some cases. So don't worry if you can't do the task. Just enjoy reading and chatting to people and that kind of thing. You can always get to it another time. Thank you, Rianne. You're welcome. Thanks very much for being here. I hope you've enjoyed my rambling. I'm a bit annoyed that you couldn't see Boo and Betsy. I'm going to have to set this up a bit better next time because they're much more interesting to look at than I am. So yeah, I hope you all have a good day, and yeah, don't forget about lighting. Every single picture that you take from now on, you must think about lighting. So yeah, look out for the lesson on motivation. I've got a couple of what I think are really fun tasks for you to do. Yeah, and then as ever, any questions you've got, get in contact with me. And last thing, some new people that join the group are kind of saying, oh no, so I'm late to the party. No, nobody's late. You can join anytime. So if you've got any friends that want to join, please tell them to join. This group is going to be open indefinitely. I'm not going to close it. I probably won't do, once I've released all the 20 lessons, I probably won't do a Q&A every week, but maybe once a month or something if for new people. So yeah, please go and tell your friends. Can't earn any money at the moment, so yeah, need to sell my course. And also I'm raising money for charity too, so yeah, the more that you can get people to come and join, the better for me and the better for the charities that I'm supporting. So have a good day. Thanks very much for being here, and I'll see you again soon. All right.